Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for joining in for our Ramayana study session today. Let's start with the prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapatakamalам Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namo Vishnupadhaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Rishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Mamini Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Saptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishavanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabho Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam Pangum langayati girim yatkripatamam mande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramanandamadavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tatsat Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Taralaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for joining in for our Ramayana discussion. So we were, in the last time we were reading last week, we were seeing about how Vishwamitra comes to Dashratha's palace, and he asks for Lord Ram to kill various demons like the Tataka and Subahu, Marichi, and those demons were actually disturbing the yajnas of the sages. So Vishwamitra Muni came to ask for Lord Ram. In that way, Lord Ram can kill all those demons. And he also, and Dashrath Maharaj is actually feeling, despondent, right? He's feeling very sad that his only son, who's very, very young, about 10, 11 years old, he's being asked to go and kill the demons. He tells, and in fact, it is mentioned here in this Ramayana that Vishwamitra also mentions the name Ravan. So Dasharatha is not even sure if he himself can defeat Ravana. So he's very much sad and aggrieved that he has to send Lord Ram, right? But of course, Vishwamitra tells him that he will also give him a lot of mantras by which, he becomes great in archery and everything. And then once he kills all the demons, then Ram can come back. And then Ram gets ready to go because on the advice of Vasishtha, Dasharatha agrees to send Lord Ram with Vishwamitra Muni, and Rama and Lakshmana are like Lakshmana is the shadow of Lord Ram, right? Even when Ram goes to the forest, Lakshmana follows. So in this way, Rama and Lakshmana, along with Vishwamitra Muni, the three of them go to the forest, where they are going to kill some demons who are all disturbing the various yajnas, right? And we also saw how the hermitage was very peaceful, and it was full of greenery and everything. And Vishwamitra told Rama and Lakshmana, let us remain in the night in the forest here. Tomorrow we will continue with our journey. Yeah, they had already killed Tataka, the demon Tataka. All right. So now where do we have to start? We have to start from, they're taking rest, and the next morning, what does Vishwamitra ask Rama and Lakshmana to do? That's where we're going to continue our study. Devotees who would like to read can raise your hands, and then we will quickly start with our study of Ramayana today. From the part where Vishwamitra is asking Rama and Lakshmana to rest, and the next day morning, Vishwamitra is going to lead them to what they're going to do during the day. Okay, Deval Mataji, go ahead, please. The next morning, Vishwamitra remembered Indra's words.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. The next morning, Vishwamitra remembered Indra's words. He sat the two princes down and faced them. Steady your minds, O heroes, for I shall now tell you the knowledge of the gods' mystic weapons, including even those presided over by the invincible Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. Equipped with this knowledge, you will be able to forcibly bring under your control even the hosts of gods and demons, including the Gandharvas and Nagas, the powerful celestial serpents. Vishwamitra sat facing the rising sun, and after purifying himself by sipping water and intoning sacred hymns, he began to repeat to Rama a string of mantras capable of invoking the celestial weapons. Calling each weapon by the name of its presiding deity, Vishwamitra delivered to Rama all those divine missiles, thousands in number and difficult for even the gods to remember in their entirety. As they were called, they came before Rama in their shining ethereal forms. Some appeared like glowing coal, others were smoky, while others were brilliant like the sun or moon. Filled with joy at being called to Rama's service, they stood before him with folded hands and asked for his command. Ram accepted them with affection and asked them to personally appear within his mind whenever he thought of them. The personified missiles replied, "It shall be as you say." Taking leave of Rama, the weapons circumambulated him with respect and returned to their own heavenly abodes. After teaching the brothers the full knowledge of firing and recalling the weapons, Vishwamitra finally said, "The instruction is complete. O glorious princes, we should now continue towards our destination." They moved on from that spot and soon saw in the distance a great cluster of trees appearing like a mass of dark clouds on the horizon. As they came closer, they saw it was a beautiful copse containing varieties of flowering and fruit bearing trees. Sweetly singing birds filled the air, and graceful deer moved about next to rivulets of clear water. Looking at Vishwamitra, Rama inquired, "What is the name of this place, so pleasing to the mind? It seems we have arrived at the site of some holy hermitage. Can it be that we have now reached your own abode, O learned Brahmin?" Although possessed of infinite knowledge, Rama had fully assumed the role of Vishwamitra's student. He listened attentively as the sage smiled and told him the ancient story of Bali and Indra. Once the immensely powerful king Bali, lord of the demons and enemy of the gods, seized the seat of Indra and began to rule over the universe. Becoming famous throughout all the three worlds of heaven, earth, and hell, he remained in the position for a long time. The gods had become perturbed, and with Indra at their head, they sought out Vishnu. The Lord then appeared as Vamana, accepting the form of a Brahmin boy. On the plea of charity, he took from Bali the three worlds, restoring them again to the gods. Vamana then remained for some time at this hermitage, known as Siddha Ashram, sanctifying it by his presence. Vishwamitra concluded, "It is here that I have my dwelling. O Ram, let us go there now." Taking the two princes by the hand, the sage entered his hermitage. As he walked into the large compound, he resembled a full and cloudless moon accompanied by two brilliant stars. There were numerous hermits moving about in that grassy enclosure. Some tended sacred fires, while some of the younger ones chopped wood or worked on constructing the large central altar meant for the main sacrifice. In some places, groups of sages sat reciting the Sanskrit hymns of the Vedas, while elsewhere other sages cleaned and prepared sacrificial paraphernalia. Rama and Lakshman looked with interest upon the busy scene that greeted them. Despite the bustle, an atmosphere of tranquility prevailed, and the hermits glowed with ascetic power. Seeing that Vishwamitra and the princess had arrived, the hermits sprang up and paid their respects. They offered water and forest fruits to the two princes. It was late in the evening, and long shadows stretched across the ground. The sacrifice would begin the next day. On Vishwamitra's order, the hermits showed the two boys to a secluded cottage. One of the sages said, "Rest now for the night, and tomorrow, led by Vishwamitra, we will go through the ceremony to consecrate our sacrifice. Surely our success is now certain because we see you two princes before us, equipped with every weapon and shining like the sun." The sages gazed with gratitude at Rama and Lakshmana. They had been afflicted by the Rakshasas for a long time and had prayed for deliverance. In his prayers and meditations, Vishwamitra had understood the Lord's plan. The sage had thus gone to Ayodhya looking for Rama. Now the divine prince had actually come to personally deliver the ascetics from their suffering. As they watched the two boys lie down to sleep, the sages were struck with wonder. In their hearts, they offered worship and praise to Vishnu. Before
Hare
dawn,
Krishna.
the next morning, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
So this is very interesting. Vishwamitra Muni seems to be knowing more than Lord Ram. How is it possible, right? Lord Ram is asking, is this a place there where you reside? And Vishwamitra is, also describing that this is a place where, there was interaction between Bali Maharaj and Indra and how the Lord appeared as Vaman Dev. The place was so beautiful. And also, we see here that Rama is assuming the form of a student. Right? Again, we're going back to the same thing. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinaha. So this transcendental knowledge, especially any knowledge for that reason, a student has to surrender unto the teacher and understand the knowledge, even if it is material knowledge. If one does not respect the teacher, one will not get even material knowledge, right? If one bunks the classes and goes, and what more to speak of transcendental knowledge, right? One has to have this humility, one has to have the attitude of surrender, one has to have the enthusiasm to serve, and one also needs to inquire about transcendental subject matter. So here, Lord Ram, he knew everything. He is the supreme personality of Godhead, but he is still inquiring from Vishwamitra. And also the sages are expressing so much gratitude, right? Because they were afflicted so much by the demons, right? Whether it is Tataka or Subahu or Maricha, right? They were so much affected by the demons that they were so much praying for someone to help them, so that they could perform the sacrifice. It was not for their sense gratification, but they were performing the sacrifice for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu, right? So that's why in their hearts they were offering gratitude to Lord Vishnu, because they knew that nothing can happen without the causeless mercy of Lord Vishnu, right? So in this way they are praying, they are offering their gratitude to Rama and Lakshmana, to Vishwamitra Muni who brought them, and also in their hearts they offered worship and praise to Lord Vishnu. So like this we see that the sages are all in gratitude. The sages are all in they're not harping to see what they will get, right? Because the sacrifice is being done for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu, right? Yajnatat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. So this is for the pleasure of Yajneshwara, Lord Vishnu. And they were so happy that this yajna that is being conducted for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu is now going to get completed without the disturbance that is caused by the demons. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, who's reading next? Sarvagopeshwari Mataji. Yes, go ahead, Mataji. Before dawn the next morning.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Before dawn the next morning, the princess rose and went through the daily rituals. After offering obeisances to Vishwamitra, they sat down by the side of a sacrificial altar. Facing the sage with folded hands, Rama asked, "Oh, venerable sir, please tell us when and where we can expect the evil Rakshasas to appear." Vishwamitra remained impassive, but the other hermits applauded the boys. Seeing the readiness to tackle the demons, one of them replied, "Vishwamitra is now observing a vow of silence, which he will keep for the next 6 days and nights, remaining awake throughout. At the end of that period, close to the completion of the sacrifice, the two demons will assail this area with all their force. But be ready, for their treacherous Rakshasas could appear at any time." The princes were eager for a fight. They stood vigilantly by Vishwamitra's side as he sat silently meditating upon the sacrificial hymns. Rama leaned on his great bow, which stood almost as tall as him. Lakshman held in his hand a shining blue sword. It is golden handled, impressed with bright gems. As the sixth night approached and the final rituals were being performed, the sacrificial fire suddenly blazed before furiously. A loud clamor came from the sky, which was covered over by the clouds. Swooping down upon the sacrifice, the two Rakshasa demons, Maricha and Subahu, appeared from the sky. They were accompanied by their fires and terrible looking followers. As they spread their sorcery, torrents of blood and pus, and as well as large pieces of flesh fell upon the altar. Blazing fires sprang from the earth, and hot coals flew everywhere. Shrieking, Shrieking horribly, the Rakshasas danced about, wreaking havoc. The hermits fell back, but this time they were not fearful. Vishwamitra quickly stood up. It was time for these evil beings to receive their just desert. They had defied his sacrifice once too often. They would not do so again. Gathering the other ascetics, Vishwamitra moved aside and ordered Rama to attack the Rakshasa. Rama became infuriated upon seeing the scene of the devastation. He rushed forward toward the Rakshasas, calling to his brother, "Watch now, I scatter these wicked demons who feed on raw flesh." Even as he spoke, Rama continuously worked his bow. He sent swift arrows in all directions. The Rakshasas were stunned. They had not expected any resistance. Some of them closed quickly on Rama, covering him all sides. Rama released arrows with deadly accuracy and speed. The Rakshasas were cut to pieces. Rama looked for Maricha. Seeing his huge form nearby, tearing at the sacrificial altar, Rama invoked a celestial weapon. He placed it on his bow, and although still feeling furious, he calmly said to Lakshman, "I shall release the Manava weapon presented over by the father of gods, Manu." Rama angrily fired this weapon at the fearsome roaring Maricha. The demon was struck by the mighty missile, and he was lifted and flung a distance of 800 miles, landing in the ocean. Although reading and struck senseless by Rama's arrow, Maricha was not killed. Rama looked at Lakshman. "See the force of that weapon, my brother. It easily hurled the demon to vast distance." Rama and Lakshman continuously discharged flaming arrows at the Rakshasas. Imbued with the mystic power, one arrow expanded into thousands. It appeared as if a continuous line of shafts was leaving Rama's bow. So fast was his movement. The Rakshasas screamed in pain. Some of them vanished and others fell dead on the ground. Some entered the earth while others flew into the sky. Regrouping, a large number of demons rushed down from the sky towards the princess. The hurled lances, iron masses, massive rocks, and blazing clouds. Rama and Lakshmana stood firm, parrying that shower of weapons with their arrows. Tightly grasping his golden bow, Rama said to his brother, "Fear not, Lakshman, for I shall not swiftly deal with these blood-sucking demons. They are wicked and merciless, and always given to sinful acts. This indeed shall be the last sacrifice they defile." Having said this to his brother, Rama moved with agility, evading the rocks thrown by the demons. He invoked the weapon presided over by the god of fire, Agni. Fired from the Rama's fully extended bow, the weapon hit the Rakshasa Subahu full upon the chest. His heart torn apart. He fell dead on the ground like an uprooted tree. Rama then evoked a Vayu Astra, the powerful wind weapon. He fired it, and a roaring gale went towards the Rakshasa. They were blown away like so many pieces of dust and debris. Those who were not killed by that weapon fled for their lives. As the clamor of the battle died down, Rama and Lakshmana felt their anger subside. They stood holding their bows and looking at the Vishwamitra. The sage was delighted. He approached the princess. "I have accomplished my purpose. O mighty armed heroes, you have perfectly followed your perspicuous order. We can now continue the sacrifice for the good of the people. With tears in Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we see here that Lord Ram, he was, waiting for the orders of Vishwamitra Muni before actually going ahead and killing this Marichi and Subahu. Right? Although Ram was equipped with all the power, he was still taking a humble position as a student, waiting for instructions from his guru. Right? So sometimes they say, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Right? So because the spiritual path is a razor's edge, we need to be very careful that we don't do Maryada Vyatikrama. Maryada Vyatikrama means we should follow the decorum. We should follow the Vaishnava Sadachar properly, right? It's not that we know something and then we want to cut cross and then we want to rush ahead and show everyone I know it, right? It's not about knowing. It's about wanting to please our gurus, right? It's not about knowing anything. It's not about by hearting something. It's not about knowing. It is about implementing it. It's about practicing the principles of Krishna consciousness. It's about Vaishnava Sadachar. So here we see that Lord Ram is demonstrating perfectly well, waiting for instructions from his guru. And once he killed also, he is just coming and standing in all humility in front of Vishwamitra, both Rama and Lakshmana. Right? And then what happens? Vishwamitra is so pleased, right? Then and the sages are also very pleased now. Now with the death of Marichi and Subahu, they can now continue their sacrifice without, the defilement that is caused due to the pus, urine, and all blood and everything, right? So Vishwamitra is, he already taught them the Artha Shastra, right? Taught them all about the weapons and how they can invoke the weapons by simply meditating and chanting mantras. But yet, Vishwamitra is so pleased that he will give all kinds of blessings to Rama and Lakshmana. So, how important it is to receive the blessings of our gurus is very important to understand here. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, like Ramachandra is the Supreme Lord, even Rama and Lakshmana, right, who are none other than Krishna and Balaram, right, they are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And yet, they are also standing with humility in front of their gurus. This is a lot of lesson that we need to learn, right? Whether it is our Shiksha Gurus, whether it is our Diksha Guru, whether it is our Vartama Pradarshika Guru, we need to know how to offer respect to our Gurus, right? In that way, we will be able to grow in our devotional service. In this way, simply by pleasing our Gurus, we'll be able to advance in devotional service. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado, yasya prasadanna gati kutopi. If we don't please our Gurus, then it is not possible that we can please Krishna, we can please Gauranga Mahaprabhu. But it's only when we please our Guru, then only we can please Gauranga Mahaprabhu, like that. Okay, let's move ahead. Let's see what happens after this. Visibly, Vishwamitra Muni is very pleased with Rama and Lakshmana for their feat of killing Subahu and Maricha. All right, let me share my screen. Okay, anyone who wants to read? Okay, Sridhar Prabhu, please go ahead. With tears in his eyes, Vishwamitra gazed.
Hare Krishna. Dandavata Pranam Mataji. With tears in his eyes, Vishwamitra gazed for some time at the two handsome brothers. He thought of Vishnu's cosmic arrangement. The Lord always protected his worshippers and for the well-beings of the world, ensured that sacrifice could process them. Overwhelmed with the love, the sage finally said to the boys, "Rest peacefully now, for tomorrow we shall leave this place." Hare Krishna. The many ascetics in the hermitage gathered around to congratulate the brothers. They led them to spacious cottage near the river. After showering the princess their accommodation, the hermits offered them forest fruits and cooked wild vegetables. Rama and Lakshmana graciously accepted their offerings and then lay down for a sleep, exalted by the day's event. The next morning, the princess came before Vishwamitra and respectfully asked, "What other order of yours should we now carry out, O best among the Brahmins?" The sage told them of a sacrifice about the performed by Janaka, the king Mithila. He wanted to take the princess there, where they would see the magnificent bow owned by Janaka. The strength of that bow was it's, inestimable. It was formerly held by Shiva himself, and it could not be bent by either gods, Gandharva, or demigods, what to speak humans. Janaka kept the enshrined in the hall where it was worshipped daily by the priest. Indeed, said the sages, the bow can hardly even the cast upon except by the mighty. The king was declared that any man who bends this bow will win the hands of his daughter Sita, a veritable jewel among women who was born from the earth itself. Let us leave for the place immediately. Vishwamitra gave the orders to the sages to make ready for the journey. 100 carts were filled largely with sacrificial paraphernalia and yoked to the strong asses. At the end of the thousands of rishis, where they were all reciting auspicious texts from the scriptures, Vishwamitra and the two princes set off towards Mithila, traveling in the northerly direction along with the bank of Ganges. As they left, herbs of the beads and flocks of birds dwelling around the hermitage began to follow them of affection. Vishwamitra and other sages addressed the creatures to their own speech and persuaded them to return. They walked for some days, having covered a long distance and arriving at the bank of the Solar River. The sages stopped at the rest just before the nightfall. The lowering the cattle and the cries of the cowherd could be heard all around. As they settled down, the travelers looked across the smooth waters of the river, which glowed orange under the settling sun. During the day, they had passed many flourishing villages and settlements and seen that land was formed and well managed. Rama, seated comfortably among the Ashritis, asked Vishwamitra where they were. Vishwamitra, who had lived thousands of years and knew the history of the entire earth, similarly began to narrate the story of that land. It was called Kushanaba, after an ancient king of the same name, who was the son of a rishi named Kusha. Kushanaba was Vishwamitra's grandfather, having descended in the line of Kusha. Vishwamitra was also known as Kushika, and he had the elder sister named Kushiki. After Kaushiki. After unflaggingly serving the rishi's husband, she had ascended bodily to heaven and later become the holy river of Kushi. Vishwamitra had a long time to lead the life of asceticism of the bank of the river by the side of Himalayas. Because of his desire to perform a sacrifice, he came down to the plant, and it was soon after that he had secured Rama's assistant. The evening.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Karpaguli Mataji. Thank you, Dandat Pranam. Karpaguli Mataji, go ahead, and then Nagavini Mataji can read. Yes. So these are pastimes of the Lord. So we'll just quickly go ahead. Now, Vishwamitra Muni is taking Rama and Lakshmana to Mithila. We all know the pastime, how Lord Ram wins a Swayamvar and marries Mother Sita. All right, let's go ahead. Karpaguli Mataji, please unmute and read.
Yes, Mataji. Okay. Hare Krishna. Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
The evening passed as Vishwamitra told this and other tales. Seeing the onset of night, the sage at last said, "The beasts and birds are buried in sleep, and all the quarters stand enveloped in darkness. The firmament shines whitely with stars as though covered with innumerable eyes. Here rises the moon, dispelling the darkness of the world and spreading his soothing rays all round. Fearful hosts of nocturnal fiends are freely roaming here and there. Let us rest, ready for our renewed journey tomorrow." Glorifying Vishwamitra, the brothers lay down and curtained sleep, awed at the sage's stories. For chapter 4, shall I continue, Mataji?
Yes, go ahead. The trial of strength.
A beautiful sunrise over the zone heralded the dawn. The sounds of the birds and forest animals filled the air as the sages and their princes bathed in the river. After performing their morning rituals and prayers, the boys came before Vishwamitra. The sage pointed to the river and said, "Here we should cross this river and make our way northwards to the Ganges." The boys looked around and saw nearby a line of sages holding the line of sages holding their water pots and staffs, wading through the water at some shallow point. Rama and Lakshman fastened their silk garments up round their waists and placed their bows across their shoulder. Then, with Visamitra going immediately before them, they followed the sages through the clear, cool waters of the Son. After some time, they sighted the Ganges shining in the late afternoon sun, appearing in the distance like a line of gold running across the landscape. Upon reaching the river bank, they broke their journey and prepared to rest for the night. After worshipping the river with the libations of water and lighting of sacred fire, the boys sat before Viswamitra and inquired, O holy sage, we wish to hear of the origin of this great river, which arrives at the Himalayas from the heavens, flows across the earth, and it is heard courses even through hell itself. How has this river become so holy, and why does she spread her influence through all the three worlds? Moved by the question, Viswamitra called to mind the glories of the Ganges and began to speak. See Appendix 1, the story of the river Ganges. In flowing and beautiful Sanskrit verse, Viswamitra narrated at length the history of the sacred river. When he was finished, the princes were wonderstruck, asking the sage again and again to continue speaking. The brothers listened all night as Viswamitra recounted various other stories of the gods and demons. Following morning, they went towards the northeast, heading for Mithila. Gradually, the forest paths gave way to roads laid with stone that led to the city. The forest opened to the field of crops. As they came closest to Midila, they saw well-planned gardens and groves with seats and fountains. The sounds of the wild animals were replaced with the clamor of people in the city. Shouts of
Right.
children and
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you,
All
Mother.
right.
Thank
So this is a description of all the, the various places that they were walking as they were walking towards Mithila. So Madhu Manjari Mataji, you can continue reading. Shouts of children from there. Please unmute Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat
Shouts
Pranam,
of
yes.
children and the rumbling of horse-drawn chariots greeted them as they entered the gates of Mithila. Huge elephants swayed along majestically with smiling people waving from the howdahs on their backs. Gazing about them, the travelers saw the golden domes of innumerable temples along with many mansions of brilliant white stones. Along the roadside were shops displaying countless varieties of fruits, vegetables, and all kinds of sweetmeats. I can't see. Other vendors displayed rows of shining gems looking like number of rainbows. Everyone called out respectful greetings as the party moved slowly past. As they went along the wide smooth road, they were met by the king's ministers who had already been informed of their arrival. Headed by Vishwamitra and the princes, the party was led along the main highway to Janaka's palace. People thronged the sides of the road to gaze upon the famous sage and his two illustrious charges. As they looked upon the powerful princes, some of them guessed that they might be the sons of Emperor Dashrath. The people wondered what had brought the princes to Mithila. Were they going to attempt to string the king's great bow? As Ram smiled at the people, they were filled with a desire to see handsome, powerful prince win Sita's hand. Janaka personally came out to greet them, accompanied by his priests and counselors. He immediately fell at Vishwamitra's feet and had him brought into the palace, where he offered him and the two princes golden seats.
The king had water
The
fetched.
king had water fetched for washing their feet and personally performed the ceremony. Once the
Thank you,
formalities were
Mataji.
complete.
Now we'll
Thank
ask
you.
Nagavani Mataji, go ahead. So these are all, how Janak Maharaj has arranged for various paraphernalia to receive Vishwamitra Muni and his students, Rama and Lakshmana. Once the formalities were complete from there. Nagavani Mataji, we'll end with you. Go ahead. Nagavani Mataji, please unmute. Okay, I'll read the last paragraph and then we'll
हाँ
end here.
Mataji. Yeah, yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, go ahead.
He
Hare
he
Krishna.
immediately tell
Once
at
the formalities were complete from here.
Acha, once the formalities were complete, a meal was offered to the sage and the princess as they sat on the floor on silk rugs. Ivory tables were placed in front of them. Gold and silver dishes were fetched, containing choices foods of every description. They are heartily, and when they were finished, Janaka said to Vishwamitra, "Great indeed, indeed is my good fortune today, for I see before me your holy self. I am blessed by your presence. Tell me, who are these two boys accompanying you? They appear like two powerful figures, they and they rival the gods in beauty and grace. What brings you here to my house? Along, along with these boys equipped with weapons. The king. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, thank you. Sorry, I was on mute. So thank you, Mataji. We will end here. So we see here, Janak Maharaj is asking Vishwamitra Muni, right? Of course, he greets him first and then asks, what brings you here to Mithila, right? Now, Vishwamitra will unfold the entire story of how he would like Rama and Lakshmana. Of course, Rama will string the bow and marry Sita, and then Lakshmana will marry Urmila, and all the four brothers will get married, right? Shatrughna will marry Shrutakirti, and Bharata will marry what is Mandavi, I guess. Right? So in this way, Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, and Shatrughna, all of them will get married. And that is the pastime that goes now, as Lord Ram actually strings the bow of Lord Shiva and wins the hand of Mother Sita. So we'll continue this tomorrow at 11 o'clock Indian Standard Time. Thank you very much for joining in. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Quickly, we'll do 2 minutes of Harinam Sankirtan and we'll end. Namma Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Veda Praswami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेष शून्यवादी असत्य दिशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Bharani Jai Jai Jagannath Jai Baladev Jai Jai Subhadra Jai Jai Sudarshan Jai Bala Gopal Jai Rukmini Vitthal Jai Prahlad Narsingh Jaya Lakshmi Narsingha Jai Shadgo Swami Jai Guru Parampara Jai Prabhupada Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Shri Hari Ram Sankirtan ki jai Sadguru Srila Prabhupada Shri Gurudev ki jai अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. Thank you, devotees. We'll meet you all tomorrow. Thank you, Sridhar Prabhu, Karpaguli Mataji, Shobha Mataji, Sarvagopishri Mataji, Rajeshwari Rajiv Mataji, Harjeet Mataji, Anusha Mataji, and all the devotees. Thank you very much for your darshan. And meet you all tomorrow morning, 4:30 for the Brahma Murta chanting session and 11 o'clock for our Ramayana study session. Thank you very much. जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। सीताराम लक्ष्मण भरत शत्रुघ्न हनुमान जी की जय। निताय गौर प्रेम।